If you're a true Marvel fan just like us, you've probably waited years to see the MCU call our beloved Wanda Maximoff by her true potential, the Scarlet Witch. Her magic has been blood red all along, but it's that Scarlet Witch title that we've been waiting for. Thankfully, we got what we asked for in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but what if things were different? First up, MCU had other plans. We all know that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige always has a few secrets up his sleeve. This time, he revealed that Scarlet Witch was almost introduced in the first Doctor Strange film instead of Avengers Age of Ultron. Wait, what? We could have seen our beloved Wanda in some main character energy years ago? Yup, that's exactly what Kevin Feige said. He added that the Sorcerer and the Witch both sort of fit into the same world of magic, so it was only fitting to put them together in one film. But he did sound glad that they didn't follow through with their original plans for Wanda Maximoff. By introducing her in the Avengers film instead, we got more depth to Wanda's character than just being sidelined back when Doctor Strange was first introduced. So, if we were to put the pieces of the puzzle together, then the MCU has been planning to put Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch together on screen for a very long time now. At least we finally got to see that magic happen in the Multiverse of Madness. Better late than never, right? So, why didn't it happen? If they were planning to introduce Wanda with Strange all along, then why did the MCU end up changing their plans? Well, there's an interesting explanation for that, and yes, it's related to the same Spider-Man-type film rights issues. MCU's first Doctor Strange film was in development in the early days. We mean they started working on a script for the film back in 2010 without even knowing when they would introduce the character. Finally, in January 2013, Feige announced that they would be dropping the Doctor Strange movie as part of MCU Phase 3. During the same year, director Joss Whedon hinted at the Scarlet Witch's appearance in Avengers Age of Ultron. We're assuming that's when the MCU decided to take her out of the Doctor Strange film and give all the limelight to the Sorcerer only. Remember those rights issues that we were talking about? Yeah, well, back then, Marvel didn't have the rights to the X-Men films, which was probably one of the major reasons why they decided to keep the mutant out of their universe entirely. Thankfully, MCU decided to tease the entrance of the Scarlet Witch with Captain America: The Winter Soldier's post-credit scene. Marvel was able to tweak the character's origin as they liked it, the result of yet another Hydra experiment, of course. But we all know that those plans changed over time. In WandaVision, the MCU decided to reveal that Wanda was actually born with her magical abilities. This just shows us that Marvel continues to adapt storylines and rework ideas according to what fits best for every project. We're just glad that after many years of waiting, we finally saw Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange co-star in a movie as phenomenal as the Multiverse of Madness. But what if the Scarlet Witch was in the first Doctor Strange movie? We can't help but wonder what would have happened if Marvel decided to go with their original plans of introducing the Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange 1. Now that Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch has become a major player in the MCU, it was probably best that she wasn't introduced and sidelined almost 10 years ago. If Marvel was to cram the origin stories of two incredibly powerful magical heroes into one film, it would have been nothing short of a disaster. We even think that it would have dragged down the 2016 blockbuster entirely. But there's also a flip side that we'd like you to consider. Imagine if Doctor Strange had been there to guide Wanda along for her magical journey from the beginning. Would it have avoided the chaos and disasters of Captain America: Civil War and WandaVision? We think so. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Wanda was introduced as a spellcaster instead of the typical superpowered hero. Now that we look back, that was the major turning point that drastically changed Wanda's journey in the MCU. Both Scarlet Witch and her lightning-fast brother Quicksilver played some major roles in the Age of Ultron. If you remove them from the picture, then we think the outcomes of that Avengers film would have been really different too. Maybe if Wanda was introduced beforehand, then Aaron Taylor Johnson would have never taken up the role of Quicksilver. And without that little detail, we would have lost a key component of Wanda's character. Do you think we're going down a Marvel what-if rabbit hole right now? Yeah, same here. Let's just keep moving. Next, we have Wanda Maximoff's MCU journey in a nutshell. Now that we've finally seen Wanda unleash her true potential and own up to the Scarlet Witch title, let's take a quick look at her journey through the MCU. As for the Marvel Comics, the Scarlet Witch had been a mutant for as long as we can remember. Wait, does that mean Marvel couldn't have included her in the MCU before their acquisition of Fox? Not really. See, the thing is that Wanda Maximoff or the Scarlet Witch has overlapping connections with both the Avengers and the X-Men. At some point, both Disney and Fox had the right to use her as part of their films. Even though Fox never debuted the Scarlet Witch in the X-Men films, they did give her brother Quicksilver a significant role. And you would remember that both these superhero siblings also made their debut debut as Hydra experiments in the MCU. Having two Quicksilvers exist back when the multiverse wasn't a thing didn't become much of an issue either, mainly because the MCU version was almost immediately killed off in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So while her brother died in one of the first major Avengers battles, Wanda took on a complicated journey in the MCU herself. We saw her become an Avenger, the catalyst for the Sokovia Accords, and she even ended up marrying Vision. Through these years, we never got to see Wanda take the limelight until she got a Disney Plus series to her name, WandaVision, and that's what changed everything. We finally got to see the depth of this character, her endless grief, and her crazy powerful magic. For those eagle-eyed fans who had their theories all along, you might remember that Wanda was one of the only Avengers who could hold off the Mad Titan in Avengers: Infinity War. That's the kind of power that the Scarlet Witch has. Not only did WandaVision give us all the insight into Wanda's life pre- and post-Endgame, but we also saw her take full control of her magic and become the Scarlet Witch. Of course, WandaVision laid all the groundwork needed for the latest Marvel masterpiece, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now for the Sorcerer and the Scarlet Witch. Even though Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch both get their powers from magic, they're pretty different characters. Ever since Doctor Strange was introduced in the MCU, many fans had been hoping to see the Sorcerer team up with the Scarlet Witch. Now, we can imagine that if Wanda was introduced in the first Doctor Strange film, she might have been the super powerful sidekick that Strange needed all along. The duo could have fought literally anyone together. We mean, who's powerful enough to beat the two of them? But instead of making the Sorcerer and the Scarlet Witch team up, Marvel decided to put them against one another to give us a much more thrilling experience. And we're not complaining at all. Wanda is the primary villain in the Multiverse of Madness, which isn't something you see often in an Avenger. After all, she's probably the first of them that went rogue. But, spoiler alert, it wasn't Wanda that went rogue on purpose though. It was the Darkhold, of course. Even though we saw the duo fight to the ends of the earth in the Multiverse of Madness, maybe we'll get to see them fight against a common enemy soon. There's so much more potential in this magic duo, and we truly hope that the MCU would tap into it more often. Finally, let's talk the future of Scarlet Witch. We're going to be throwing many Multiverse of Madness spoilers around now, so if you haven't watched the film yet, we suggest you do so as soon as possible. If you already have, then you might be a little confused with the last scene. Don't worry, we were too. While some fans assumed that the Scarlet Witch had killed herself as she dissolved the mountainous structure on herself, others know better than to assume such silly things. There's chatter on the street that we might get to see Wanda in a Disney Plus show featuring Agatha Harkness yet again. Apparently, the Scarlet Witch will go back to her to learn the nuances of chaos magic and how to make better use of it. But that's a story for another time. And that's a wrap on this video. Do you think the Scarlet Witch should have been introduced in Doctor Strange 1? Drop all your MCU theories in the comments below. Like always, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content like this. See you in the next one!